Okay. I hope y'all can see me good. I don't know what it is, but right now I'm trying to do videos and it's just one thing after another. But we know what that is. That is just the spiritual entities who wish to hinder this video. They are at play. And I'm very aware that in everything I do is that I have to be very well protected when I come about with information, which is the title of this video, and that's spiritual protection around the holidays in travel. So I want to do something which is very old school. A lot of people may not know this, but I need to cleanse, of course, before I do the video. And this is an egg carton. And the egg carton is right up there with the Palo Santo. It's also with like John the Conqueror, where you're cleansing, just different things that we normally would use in the spiritual community to cleanse and all that good stuff. And this is an egg carton, and it's a very, 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 very old means of cleansing. It's almost conducive to the old wives, and how they would cleanse. And so I want to do that aptly for this video, is to cleanse my aura and to cleanse before I do the video. So with that, I decided that to do a video on spiritual protection around the holidays and why it's so important for individuals who practice the occult and who are into alchemy, metaphysics, and the like, and why this is something that I have not heard talked about in our community, and that is being a spiritual individual and traveling to your hometown or your family's, your mom's place for the holidays, is that we are very susceptible to spiritual attacks, right? And so I think it's just only necessary, only right is to do a video about that and ways that you acknowledge that, and also ways that you can protect yourself when you are traveling. So first things first is, for the ones who are spiritually inclined, is that we live in two dimensions. We live in the physical dimension and we live in the spiritual dimension. We have Maya and we have Gaia. And Maya and Gaia are always at odds with each other. The physical illusionary realm is always at odds with the spiritual illusionary realm. And why is that? It's because you have two different forces that are pulling you at all times. You have the physical and the Maya in that realm of this illusionary realm, in your ego and what feels good, looks good, tastes good, which is all a lie. And then we have the spiritual realm, which is based on the inner workings of yourself and what your soul basically is and what it's designed for and who you are in that essence and that glory. So you're always going to have these two forces. And so around the holidays, we often leave our comfort zone, which is our spiritual temple that we've set up for ourselves. And the spiritual temple that we set up for ourselves, when you're spiritually inclined and in tune, you make your home your temple. And so there are spiritual libations that you do. There's different stones or amulets or sigils that you might have in your home. The books that you read are energy. Your thoughts are energy. You have created the safe haven for yourself, spiritually, your temple, your home, your dwelling. And in the confines, you do a lot to keep yourself protected and well together. And the things that you do on a daily basis is your ritual, is your routine. And when we leave that, going to the physical illusionary realm, be it our family members' homes and our mom's house, and we're going for Thanksgiving and Christmas, what happens is that the physical illusion will try to override the spiritual manifestations in the realm that you've created for yourself. And what happens is that we're more open for spiritual attacks. We're more open for illnesses. We're more open for situations that will drain our energy. The energy vampires, they're coming, and we're not totally aware of that. We know that, we're leaving and we're not at home and we have to deal with our family and all their quirks and all of that. But on a deeper physical, unseen realm and level, there's things that we need to do to protect ourselves. And so I'm just gonna do it real quickly to tell you some things that you can do during this holiday season to keep you safe and protected. The first thing is when you're traveling and you're going away from your spiritual temple, your home, is that call upon Anubis when you're traveling. If you're going in transportation mode by your vehicle, your car, place Anubis visually on the hood of your vehicle. What I normally do, and I do this on a nightly basis, it takes me about 30 minutes to do my rituals every night before I go to bed. And I wouldn't trade it in for anything because it's the capstone of my spiritual protection. But I do call upon Anubis, and I ask him to sit on the hood of my vehicle as I go to and from my destinations, from home to work, work to home, and all the places in between. And not only sit on the hood of my vehicle, but actually be inside my vehicle, offer me that safe and protective mode of travel. And I do that, and I don't have any issues. And so I would definitely call upon Anubis. If you're traveling in an airplane, you can have him sit on the wings of the airplane and call him down for divine protection. Another thing I would do is, before I left, and some might find this very strange and very, I don't want to say weird, and really I don't care, because weird and strange is the the primary personality or trait of anybody who's divvying from the physical illusionary realm and learning and growing about your soul and all of that. You've been probably called worse. So I'm going to use the word very loosely, but it may seem very different in the aspect of actually telling your soul that you are leaving the spiritual temple and that you are actually going to a physical illusionary realm, and while you're there, to offer a safekeeping and safe protection while you're there. And that's to give it that understanding that you're leaving that realm and that mode. And so, because people don't understand this, when we speak, they always say that, we're speaking, words have power and all that, which is very key and true. But you're also speaking, when you speak, you're speaking to your soul, and you're raising your soul up from its dormant state, either by spiritual words or by mundane physical words to keep it dormant in a low vibratory rate. So by saying that to your soul, that I'm actually leaving the spiritual realm that I've been accustomed to, that you've been accustomed to, and I'm going towards a more physical realm, the illusionary realm, your soul would give it a different type of protection, right? And so when you come back, you can say, I just want to give thanks for letting me be able to be carried from that physical realm back to my temple, my spiritual center. Another thing I would do definitely is, before and after travel, I would take me a spiritual bath. Definitely when I got back, I would be taking myself a spiritual bath. And Bobby Hemmett gives out a beautiful one. And I've used it. It works. It's beautiful. The aura changes. And I will definitely put that in down below there with the ingredients and such. But definitely taking a spiritual bath upon return And the reason why I say this is because when you travel back home, and Bobby has a video about that too, and he talks about, you know, you can never go back home. That bridge is gone. It disappears from you. You can never go back home, and it's true. In this spiritual enlightenment, this path, you cannot go back home. And if you do try to go back home in that sense, you know, they say the gods will, you know, not be pleased, or, you know, you're going to have to go through a series of events to get back on track, which I believe is absolutely true. And so going back home is being around the dead. In that sense, if you don't have anyone who is on your level, and 9 times out of 10 when we're dealing with family, we don't. We are the black sheep. We are the elect. We are the 1%. And so we don't have that camaraderie with other individuals who are on that same journey as we are. And so we have to be mindful of that. And I would definitely say this: when you're home, do not wear your stones, your amulets, anything that could be symbolic of the occult or metaphysics. And I'm not saying this because I have them. But what happens is that it becomes a conversation piece. And trust me, at that time, they are not trying to listen to anything you have to say. They're there for that holiday season to drink, to be merry, and to eat, and to be festive. Trust me, they are not trying to listen to you talk to them about anything that can raise them up to the spiritual capability that, of course, we know they have, but they're not trying to listen to that. And so if you're engaging with that, with things that you're wearing on your body, it becomes a conversation piece, and then you're in the mode of trying to talk with them or trying to give them information or share information about you and your spiritual attainment. And trust me, you're going to be so energy zapped at the end of the conversation. It's better if you didn't. It would literally be more detrimental to you than trying to get them to understand anything about themselves. And so when I say that, that's what it means. Let the dead bury the dead. We do enough divinely protecting our family members and the people that we love in secrecy and just our energy and our essence, that we've already protected them in some type of way. Now, if it comes down to it, because they see your light has changed and they know it's a difference in you, then no, by no means. If it comes down to that and they ask you that, I wouldn't do it in the holiday season. Normally it wouldn't happen in the holiday season because it's too much of a distraction. But if it comes down to that afterwards, they asked you, then, you know, of course you can have a conversation with them. So I wouldn't wear anything that would spark a conversation about my spirituality. And some people may say, you know, it's your choice, and that's just for me. But I'm going to give you what I believe is best. So Anubis, when you're traveling, definitely take a spiritual bath before. Definitely 100% after you leave, take that spiritual bath. Speak to your soul. Let your soul know that you are leaving the spiritual realm and you're going to the physical illusionary realm, and to give you divine protection along that journey. I'm going to tell you a really short story of what happened to me, why I can say and I can attest to this, is that I left to go home, back home in Michigan in May, when I had a celebration for my grandmother. And I was staying with my mom, and the first night I was there, I was laying down, and I am a light sleeper the first couple of hours, very light sleeper. And maybe going along the night, a couple hours out the night, I fall into REM sleep, and it's a deep sleep. But the first couple hours, I'm a light sleeper. I hear everything, see everything, and I'm just resting my body, the physical body. And so maybe about 20 minutes, me literally laying down in that rejuvenated state, I felt an entity come and literally lay in the bed with me. And I asked who it was. And they didn't state who they was, or, so I had to vanquish that energy. And so, didn't do my spiritual protection, didn't do libations, didn't call up on anything to spiritually protect me that night. And the next night it was the same thing. I just don't know what it was, but I just did not do what I know to do in my spiritual temple at home to protect me. And it came back. And when it came back, since we're operating in, there's no such thing as time and space, I believed it to be maybe a couple minutes where I felt it and I was trying to vanquish it again. But it took a lot more energy for me to be able to do that. And so finally, I was able to have it travel along its own journey and leave me alone. But, and it was very, very sexual in nature, So I got up the next morning and I was going to the restroom, and I noticed that, right where my knee started, in between my thighs, that I had bruises there. And I ended up calling my mom, and I'm calling her, and she's in one room, and I'm like, did you hear me talking last night? Did you hear me say anything? And she's a heavy sleeper, so I'm pretty sure, I don't even know why I asked that question. I know she didn't hear anything. But when I looked closer in that area, there were bruises there. And what they call that is coercion, and in the spiritual sense of it. And so that entity was trying to have sex with me. And so I tell you that to tell you this. Maybe that's TMI, I don't care. I have to be honest and real with you. And that's just me. But that's a prime example of what I'm speaking of, is because I normally protect myself every night and go through that ritualistic approach to that. And I did not do that when I was at home. And subsequently, I had an entity try to come. And so, that was the first time that I had that happen like that. I mean, like back to back. And I was in a different dimension, and I wasn't thinking. I really wasn't, which is so uncommon for me. So, with that being said, as an example, you do have to protect yourself when you travel, because that vortex opens up and you're in a whole different realm in reality. And because we are in a spiritual warfare, in a spiritual fight, we have to be more aware and acknowledge that. So tell your soul that you're leaving. Anubis for sure. Take your spiritual baths. If you have your amulets or anything of protection, your stones, I'm not saying that you don't have to wear, but put it in your purse, your wallet, something like that, where it's on you, but it's not visually to where conversations can be had about that, because you're going to be so drained trying to explain something to someone anyway. So I hope this helps in a way where it's very understandable as far as protecting yourself, because we still do live in this physical realm. We do. And there's always going to be that war. And, some people don't want to be so alienated from their family around this time, especially if you're living by yourself and, you want to be in company. And so that's okay. But you have to be able to understand that, because you're chosen and you are a part of the 1%, or you're studying the occult, or you're studying metaphysics, or you're studying alchemy, or you're studying the ancient secrets in the mystery system, that there's a war going on, and you have to be aware of that, and you have to keep yourself, guarded and protected at all times, at all costs. And since the holiday season is basically this celebration of the winter equinox, there's so much magic going on. There's so many different aspects to that, of the awakening process, and going from that to the spring. And the spring is a whole different magical entity in itself, when we're talking about equinoxes and the seasons. And so this time is that time where it's the beginning, it's the plucking out, and so we're pushing ourselves into that renewal season. And so I'm telling you, it's so imperative that we are spiritually protecting ourselves. So I'll put the spiritual bath down in the description for those who want it, if you don't have it. And I just wish you all a very magical winter season, equinox season, and just divinely understand that you have to protect yourself. So hopefully that helped. A couple things that you can do to protect yourself. If you know any others or wish to share any others, that's perfectly fine. You can just comment below. I love comments. I love seeing what people are saying, the feedback. I love that. Even though I don't post that much on YouTube, but I am very interactive, and I won't shy away from that at all. I really do like to see, what people are saying. And I'm always looking, trust me. That's one thing about me. I might not comment on other people's things as much, but I see, and I'm very aware. So that's it. Love y'all. And subscribe if you want, share if you want, comment. That'd be great. And most importantly, be a blessing to others so others can be a mirror of you. And with that, half the work is done. So y'all take care. Bye.